Frank's Adventures in Toyland.
And who may you be?
Croaked a queer voice close behind Frank. Turning round, he saw a strange figure. Its head was shaped like a conical gum bottle, and it wore a tin helmet with a hole on the top, from which the handle of a brush protruded. The body was smeared with spilling and trickling of paste, and in its hand it carried a steaming glue pot.
I'm Frank. Please, who are you?
Asked Frank.
I'm Glugum Pest. How did you come here, and what did you break? Well, I don't know how I came here, but I didn't break anything. Where am I? In Toyland, of course, said Glugum Pest. What sort of a toy are you? I'm not a toy. I'm a boy, answered Frank.
Glugumfest approached Frank and began to feel his face.
Where's your box then?
He asked.
Box? What box?
Asked Frank.
Oh, nonsense. You are only a jack-in-the-box that's come loose. No,
said Frank sturdily.
I'm a human child. Hush, don't say that again. The toys would hurt you.
Glugumfest said, looking around anxiously.
This is where all the broken toys come to be mended, and as most of their sufferings and fractures are caused by human children, they hate them. You'd better pass yourself off as a new sort of doll. This is a sort of doll's hospital, is it?
Observed Frank.
Yes, you might call it that, and I am the surgeon. Would you like to see it?
Asked his friend.
Very much indeed. You must be very careful. If they were to suspect you are not a toy, there will be trouble for you. But why?
Inquired Frank.
Well, think of how cruel children can be to their toys.
His voice trailed off. Frank's conscience pinched him as he recalled the collection of wooden legs he had amassed by pulling them off his sister's dolls. Presently, they came in sight of a large building.
That's it,
said Glugumfest.
And now I'd better take some refreshment before I begin my duties.
He sat down by the road and began to stuff glue into his mouth. Frank sat down on a box close by, but in a few seconds the lid flew up with a pop that threw Frank over backwards. A figure with a shock of rough hair, 2 huge button-like eyes, and a fiery complexion sprang out of the box, trembling with excitement and anger.
How dare you sit down on a gentleman?
He shouted.
How dare!
Here he suddenly collapsed and the lid closed on him. The box flew open again.
The audacity of a mere 6-penny doll,
continued the jack-in-the-box, reappearing.
If I weren't invalid, I'd frighten you into fits. I would.
He shrieked, and then, exhausted by his efforts, he lolled over the side of his box, shaking feebly.
I'm extremely sorry,
said Frank. That sent the figure back into his box. They now entered the building, where, on low beds, lay hundreds of toys in various stages of mending. Glugumfest stopped at the bedside of a kite which had a large rent in it. A card hung above with the words, "A paste plaster every morning after breakfast, and 3 drops of gum at bedtime."
You'd better take your drops now,
said Glugumfest, bending down his head. The kite took the brush out of the surgeon's head and dropped 3 drops on his wound, replacing the brush. Frank followed the surgeon fearfully.
It's very odd,
said Glugumfest as they were entering the next ward.
How many wooden dolls have come here lately that have lost legs?
Glugumfest opened the door, and there lay the whole regiment of his sister's dolls. Frank turned to flee, but it was too late. He was recognized, and the dolls began scrambling after him. Frank bolted as fast as his legs could carry him till he reached a ravine. He could see little chance of escape now. All at once, his eye caught sight of a stout creeper that climbed up the cliff. He scrambled up the trailing stem and after a sharp struggle, reached the top. Gluegumfest climbed up after him.
Don't be afraid,
Said Gluegumfest.
I just wanted to say goodbye. But what a cruel boy you must be to break up dolls like that.
Frank promised Gluegumfest that he would never be so wicked again.